Hello, welcome to the Horror of It All movie podcast. This is another episode of What I've Been Watching. This time, I'm going to be doing a Vinegar Syndrome edition, and I'm going to be doing a bunch of newer ones that I've watched, and then I got a whole bunch of recommendations for the upcoming sale, as well as my top 10 favorite Peakorama releases. So it's not too long. Let's get right into it. Yeah, I could start with that. This is one of my absolute favorite movies that I've seen in a long time, and I just gotta say that I think I saw it when I was younger in the 90s, but I'm not sure. I've always been familiar with it, but I'm talking about Freeway. What a fucking movie. Holy shit. I was. I basically what it's about is it's about this teenage girl played by Reese Witherspoon before she was Reese Witherspoon, and she has a terrible life. Her mother's a prostitute. Her stepdad always tries to molest her, or shouldn't say try. He actually does, and they talk about that later on in the movie. Once she ends up getting, like, her mother gets arrested, her mother and stepfather get arrested, and she ends up taking off to her grandmother's, which she's never met before. And on the way, she meets this guy. Now, this is basically an exploitation version of Little Red Riding Hood. So he's obviously the wolf, and it turns out he's the freeway killer. So he asks her all these questions because supposedly, I think he actually does, if I remember right, is like a counselor for like boys that or your youth. I can't remember exactly, but he's a counselor anyway. So he's asking her all these questions, and then they get worse and worse to the point where she gets upset. And then in that process, when he keeps dragging her, pulling her in with his like, just with his whole demeanor and just being so nice and everything and being deceitful, even though she doesn't know that. Basically, it gets to the point of her getting so upset with him that she shoots him a lot, but he survives. That is much as I want to tell you, because from there the movie does get pretty crazy between her going to jail and things like that. Sorry for any spoilers, but as I said, this is like an exploitation version of Little Red Riding Hood. It it was definitely one of those movies when it's over, you're like, what? I just kept saying, wow, just wow, holy shit, to the point of, this isn't only now one of my absolute favorite, like probably even like top 3 favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. That's how much I love this movie. It's not going to be for everybody. It is pretty intense. It is pretty, like, inappropriate isn't a big enough word for like some things that they're saying, because I don't want to give anything away. But it's definitely fucked up. But I love this movie. That's the other art. There's a ton of special features with different interviews and things like that. Unfortunately, it's not a full-on documentary like a lot of times, but maybe they just felt it didn't work that way. I don't know if Michael Keane, because he did a lot of the editing, if it didn't work that way, or they didn't want him to do another one. But I can't recommend this movie enough. It is not going to be for everybody. It is not for the faint of heart, so to speak. It is definitely fucked up, and it's definitely, well, Vinegar Syndrome people I think will be able to handle it just fine, but it's definitely one of those type of movies where not everybody is going to be able to, like, I don't know if handle it's the right word, but I don't know. There's different kinds of people. Some people might think it's trash, some people might think it's like a masterpiece. I think it's a masterpiece, but yes, it is pretty intense and it's a brutal movie. That's a good way to put it. Freeway. Go right into it. I didn't watch it right after I wanted to, but Freeway 2. Okay, so if Freeway 1, for me, is one of my favorite movies of all time, Freeway 2 is a little different. Same director and everything. And this one is more of a Hansel and Gretel story. But this is one of the most fucked up movies I've ever seen. I guess that depends on the person. I know some people may not think it's too fucked up, and other people would think that why would you watch this kind of thing. But basically, Natasha Lyonne, who I'm a huge fan of, it's definitely different than Freeway because Freeway has a whole backstory before she gets to jail and everything. With this, as soon as you're into it, she's in jail. And then you find out these different things, like she was a prostitute and things like that. And then you meet her friend, which I can't remember her name or even how to say it. Cyclona? Something along those lines. And her nickname in it is White Girl. Well, this girl has had one of the most fucked up lives you've probably ever gonna come in contact with. But it before I get ahead of myself, it also deals with, which I think goes with the Hansel and Gretel thing a bit later on, because it deals a lot with bulimia as well, even to the point where they have this like weird party. Like I don't know much. I know about bulimia and everything, but they have this weird party where they literally stuff themselves to the point where they throw up, and it's like if they like get off on it or something. But anyway, these two end up escaping. One of the first places they end up is this old couple's home where she murders them, and she also gets off on dead bodies, and I'll just leave it at that. But there's so many more things that I could say about this, but I don't want to give anything away. But if you can handle fucked up shit, or maybe you don't even think it's as fucked up as I do, but I'm not saying it in a good way, believe it or not. This movie could be for you. Now, when it gets to the Hansel and Gretel part, however, that's when it really gets fucked up. And I'm saying like almost shocking, like some of the things. And I know some people are like, oh, come on, whatever, that have seen it. Maybe fine, if that's whatever for you. I'm not saying it like I don't like it. I love this fucking movie, but you find out more backstory with her and why she has these like flashes and stuff. And there's also scenes of them like doing like different drugs and things like that, or huffing paint, and that's not important, but I just figured I'd mention it. But and David Allen Greer is in it. He is White Girl, or Natasha Lyonne's character's lawyer. This guy's like a straight up pimp, basically. He seems to get all his payments from women and getting them off on charges and shit like that. And yeah, yeah. But man, it's like an exploitation version of Hansel and Gretel. That's the best way that I can describe it. Some people have described it as a women in prison movie meets Natural Born Killers meets Hansel and Gretel, or an exploitation version of Hansel and Gretel. It's some fucked up shit, but if all that being said, if you're still into it, I highly recommend it. There's a great documentary on here. This one did get a documentary, as well as a few other interviews on it. These are both locked, in case anybody's curious. I know some people ask me sometimes, but I do highly recommend this. If, like I said, any of that sounds good to you, but I love this movie. I really, really did, and I can't honestly wait to watch it again. I know some people, this could also be one of those movies where they're like, I'm glad I watched it, but I don't think I can watch it again. But very, very good. I really, really liked it. I wouldn't say I loved it like this. Like, I love this like an amazing movie. This is just like a fucked up trasher-piece, I guess you could say. But that almost sounds like it's degrading it a little bit. I don't know. But Freeway 2, I loved it. Now, my next one is another newer release that my wife ended up wanting a copy because Patrick Swayze is like one of her favorite actors of all time, if not her favorite. And she said this is her second favorite movie of his. This would be my favorite. And I'm talking about Roadhouse, of course. Great, best it's ever looked. You know, all those things. It's 4K, so of course. The documentaries, actually this one doesn't have a documentary now that I think about it, which I thought was weird for VSU, but maybe they couldn't with the rights. But there's a ton of interviews by different people. But it's Roadhouse. I mean, what can you say? I'm one that am glad that Vinegar Syndrome gets these because I like all kinds of movies, but also, excuse me, because they get stuff like this, it sells well. We get more of those obscure exploitation movies because of that. You know what I mean? Like, say you get this, and they get like three movies, 5 movies because they sold this. These sold so well, but it's a great package. I've showed it on my like pickups and stuff, and that's the book, just like all the VSUs. But this definitely is pretty great. But yeah, I watched it with my wife. She was very impressed by it. It's Roadhouse. Now, I don't know if anybody's going to know what I'm talking about, but there's a line in here that it's been in my head ever since I heard it, because I swear to God it was in like an old hardcore song, like in the 2000s, but I haven't been able to place it. But when, I guess the villain, you would say, can't remember his name right now, it's late, I apologize, is talking to his like girlfriend or wife and was like, "Will you shut that shit off? It's got no heart." That's totally on a song, but I can't think of it. Any heavy music people watching, you may know, I don't know, but it's Roadhouse. Obviously, I highly recommend this if you like that. If you haven't even seen it, it's a total dude action 80s movie. It's a blast. You absolutely hate some characters, and that's the point, but Roadhouse. Alright, and the last thing for what I've been watching is the Homegrown Horrors Volume 2. I'm going to go in order of, I guess, my order of these. All of these have really good special features. Real quick, obviously the 4K is unlocked, but the Blu-ray is locked as well on Roadhouse, which I kind of expected it to be. But I'll go 3-1 for these. Number 3, Hanging Heart. This was a weird one. There's definitely some different stuff in it for the time, but it's basically about this guy that I'll just read it. Denny and a young handsome actor in a surrealist theater is the object of desire for all who encounter him. When a young woman from whom Denny has been having an affair is found murdered, the police immediately suspect him of being her assailant. Managing to get off the hook for his potential involvement pending additional investigation. It's not long before another woman in Denny's life is murdered, with Denny again becoming a prime suspect. Is someone trying to frame him, or is Denny himself a deranged lunatic weaving a bizarre plan to try and get away with multiple murders? Now, that being said, for me, that sounds better than the movie that you actually get. It's not bad. It's just fine. It's one of those. Would I watch it again? Maybe. I didn't hate it, but it's definitely my least favorite of the box set. Hanging Heart is a stylized thriller with one foot planted firmly in art house genre, and the other paying loving tribute to slashers and gialli alike. So, yeah, Hanging Heart. Like I said, I didn't think it was great. I don't think it's bad. It's just fine. But I have heard some people say that this is their favorite one. So, it's different, like I said, for the time, but Hanging Heart. My middle one would be Dead Girls. This is basically about a rock band that is an all-woman rock band, and all their songs are about like murder and suicide and things like that, and they go off on a vacation. There's so much more to it than this, but this is the gist. They go off on a vacation, and they end up being killed one by one in different ways of lyrics of their songs. It's kind of interesting. That's really interesting to me. But yeah, Dead Girls effectively blends 80s single location slasher tropes with genuinely suspenseful and clever tribute to the giallo genre, offering effective twists up until the final fade out. Very, very good. Really, really like it. Close second of this box set. 2, Moonstalker. This is probably the one I think that was most well known. I had heard of it. I hadn't seen it. Um, Taking the formula of the late 80s slasher, injecting copious amounts of no-budget charm along with creative kills, and easily one of the highest number of murders in a film from the genre. Easily the highest number of murders. That is what it says, and it does have quite the body count, but it's definitely a good movie. These are all of them are all region. Hanging Heart has a bunch of different interviews. Dead Girls has a full-length documentary, and Moonstalker has a full-length documentary as well. But very good. One thing that was in the movie that you can definitely tell, I haven't branched out too far. Definitely not all the way to the other side of the country for myself. But I know this is going to sound stupid to some, and maybe some also got the same thing. I didn't know there were areas of like Nevada, because I thought that was just like, maybe I'm just thinking Las Vegas is like desert and stuff like that. There's snow in some parts of Nevada, and I'm like, I didn't know that. That might sound stupid of me, but it was really, really good. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It was shot as Camper Stamper, but the title ended up getting changed to Moonstalker. The filmmakers said they don't know why it was changed, but it was like a distributor's choice. It also includes a archival documentary that's 70 minutes of just like behind the scenes stuff and like in between stuff when they're just fooling around and partying and stuff. But I highly recommend this box set. I could be wrong, and I'm sorry if I am, but I think this might be on sale. I think this came out, I feel like this came out last year. But yeah, so my order is 3 Hanging Heart, 2 Dead Girls, 1 Moonstalker, and I like this one even more than the first one. I don't know if I mentioned that. So, that is my what I've been watching. Now, I think I'm just going to go with my top 10 favorite Pikaramas, and then I got a whole bunch of recommendations. I'm going to try not to make this too long and go into too much detail. A few of these I've mentioned on other videos, and I can't really go into too much detail with the Pikaramas, obviously, but I will a little bit. Now, I notice they are kind of out of order now, and I wrote it down, so bear with me here 1 second. Alright, so number 10 is actually a double feature. The second movie is fine. But I will start with a lot of the ones that I like. I know not everybody is too big on them, but yeah, I'll try to go through these quick so I can get to the regular recommendations. I know not everybody is super into them. Or hey, fast forward ahead. I'll try not to make it too long. I'll probably maybe 5 minutes or so, but the first one would be The Young Like It Hot. This was previously a DVD. I didn't see the DVD, but I did get it. I think that might have been a double feature as well. I think it might have been the same double feature, but anyway, it is on 4K. Like I said, I can't show too much or whatever, but this one's definitely one that, sorry, did I get ahead of myself? I'm going to go back. A lot of the Pikaramas that I like are the ones that are very movie-like. Like, it's not just straight up, like, sex and things like that. It's got a plot and everything, and that's what I like about old adult films, so to speak, from like 70s and 80s, because they were also a movie. There was also interesting things in it. Sometimes the sex scenes are good. Sometimes I honestly will watch the movie as itself. That's why, like, on some of them they have R-rated versions and they have those scenes cut out. But The Young Like It Hot is a fun little like romp. It's like a comedy. It's basically their I think they are, what do they have, like a phone sex line or something like that. Trouble is brewing in a small town phone helpline. Sorry. and it ensues from there. Fill the blank. Anyway, that's my number 10. My number 9, where are you, is A Woman's Torment. I'm sure people have heard about this. If they haven't, of people like, well, if you don't really like the erotica, as a lot of times they call it, Vinegar Syndrome, then check out something like this. This one does have an R-rated version. This is definitely a horror type one of those. I'm sure somebody else might mention her name was Lisa. I haven't seen it. I'm sorry, but I do own it. But yeah, let's see. Tribute to Repulsion. A Woman's Torment is one-of-a-kind blend of melodrama, explicit sex, and proto slasher. So that's all molded into one. And if you want to take out some of that and just watch it as a full movie, good. I mean, even if I remember right, it's been a while. I apologize, but I think even the effects were good, like with the violence and stuff. And it's basically like a slasher, but it has sex scenes in it. But yeah, Woman's Torment. My number 8 is, and I can't really show this very well, but is Frat House. It's Frat House. It's kind of like a National Lampoon. It even says like Natural Lampoon's Frat House. It's just a funny little. It's a sex comedy that has actual sex in it. So, but yeah, if that sounds fun to you, then yeah, I thought it was a pretty fun movie. But one that kind of isn't necessarily my number 7 or anything, but I will recommend, and I can't really show very well. I can show this version, this cover, because I have the slip cover, but Summer Camp Girls. That one is another fun one. It's a little bit lighter hearted, so to speak. It's not as like National Lampoony, so to speak, but it's like a summer camp comedy, erotica. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that one. Number 7 is an interesting little movie, and I do like the actress. I believe she's the main name, Lisa D. Liao. I think that's the first name, because she looks like she's the main star. She's in a few of their movies. This isn't too bad to show, but Mascara. That one's a little bit lighter on the plot, so to speak, but it's a pretty decent movie for those types of things. But yeah, so that's my number 7. I do like her. She's in a few of their movies. I think I have most of them, if not all of them. Number 6 is one that a lot of people talk about, and this is quite the movie. Like, I don't even really remember the sex stuff, to be honest with you. Like, this movie is weird and it's kind of fucked up. But yeah, Corruption. You got to put Corruption in there, and it's in my top. It's number 6, but this also has the infamous Last House on Dead End Street. This was an added I don't want to call it a legacy slip, a catalog slip. I was blanking, but yeah, this is an old Blu-ray. This is number 98. But yeah, this is something else. I mean, it's really hard to describe. It's basically like this guy goes into this place and he goes down this hallway, and in each room is some kind of different deviant thing going on. Like, I can't really give much away. This is YouTube after all, but it's Corruption. I mean, Michael Keane has actually a good it's an older video, but he did a review on this that's pretty good. But yeah, like I said, Last House on Dead End Street is one of the selling points for this, because it's a special feature. It's not really, they weren't really able to clean it. Like, they were able to do what they could do, but the print wasn't that great. And they did say, this came out 8 years ago now, but Vinegar Syndrome did say, at least I heard, that they were supposed to put it out since then. And I mean, because I've been buying stuff from them since they started, pretty much. And I swear they've mentioned that, but it's one of those things they probably haven't. They could have gave up. They could have be still trying, couldn't get the right materials. Who knows? But But yeah. Anyway, I said I was gonna be quicker with this. I'm trying. This one's easy. This will not be for everybody, but it's. I said releases, not just one movie, but the Taboo box set. I bought all 3 discs before and just bought the box. I mean, it's adult film and fill in the blanks, so to speak. No, what taboo could mean. But if I had to do an order, I would actually say reverse. So 4, 3, 2, 1. These are something else. They're not going to be for everybody. Even people that are into this type of stuff. This is more of like I can't think of the proper word, and it's not a good enough thing. But certain taboos or like people that are things that people are into when it comes to that. Won't be for everybody, but I can always put it out of my mind because they're pretty good movies. They're definitely dirty. They're kind of like melodramas, but like housewife type things, or like yeah. But I'm not gonna get into it. But yeah, Taboo. Number 4 is one that a lot of people talk about, Hot and Saucy Pizza Girls. It's only got a DVD. It's a fun little comedy basically about these pizza delivery girls who deliver more than pizza. And a lot of people talk about this. Hopefully someday they'll be able to put out a Blu-ray, hopefully 4K. Now, number 3, I will say a few things about this. Sorry before when I said 5 minutes. We'll call it 10. But Memories Within Miss Aggie. This is quite the movie. It almost reminds me of an anthology. It's about this woman who keeps telling these stories of things that she did during her life. But she's obviously insane, and a lot of them probably may or may not have happened or didn't happen. It's got one of those, I don't want to say shocking again, but it's definitely got one of those endings like, whoa. It's in it, and like I said, it's kind of like an anthology, because when she tells a story, it goes from her to a completely different place, and that is the sex scene or whatever. But I would say even for people that really aren't into those type of movies might enjoy this. But yeah, Memories Within Miss Aggie. I don't got the slip, but this one I thought was out of print, but it's not under their. Well, I didn't. Did I go to out of print? This might be fully out of print. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that, because I thought. Yeah, because it's not listed anymore, but I remember this going out of print. I could be thinking of something else. Anyway, I'll stop ramming on about it. But this is definitely a recommendation, as well as my number 3. Number 2, the slipcase of this is out of stock. I don't know if I can show anything. Not really. But it's called Public Affairs. Yeah, it's Public Affairs. It's a kind of like political type one. But overall, it's a pretty good movie. Also, as I said, those are usually the ones I like. It's basically about this sleazy politician, and yeah, fill in those blanks. And my number 1, unfortunately, is completely sold out and out of print, and I guess it's not that bad. But it's called Throat. 12 years later. It says a reflection, not a sequel. I actually kind of like this better than Deep Throat. Deep Throat's fine. It's definitely a big thing in the history of erotic movies, but I don't know, something about this one, Deep Throat 12 years later, that I did like. Not a bad story, personal story of love, marriage, desire, and reflection. Definitely got some good actors and actresses in it, but yeah, doesn't really help anybody because it's out of print. Okay, sorry about that. It ended up turning into longer. I'm very long-winded. I apologize. I'll try to remember to put it in my description. Yeah. I'm just going to grab, I've mentioned this one before, I believe it's probably in my top 10 favorite Vinegar Syndrome movies, which, that's good to mention. Excuse me. I did a top 40 Vinegar Syndrome, and broke them up in increments of 10. But I'm talking about Incubus, This is quite the interesting movie. I think it's kind of like if I remember right, like kind of like about a demon or something, but it's invisible, and it's kind of like a slasher, but then it also like I don't know, it like rapes women and stuff. But it can be brutal at times, but it's a good little horror movie, intense and disturbing supernatural slasher. There you go. John Hugh, not John Hughes, but is the director. He did Legends of Hell House and American Gothic, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen that. Vinegar Syndrome did not put it out. Scream Factory did though. But yeah, Incubus is something else, and it's definitely one of my favorites. Slipcase is out of stock, or gone. It's gone. What do I mean? Out of print. Another one is out of print that I've been raving about this too. I didn't mix them up very well, but Grave Robbers, and this isn't the Spanish one, which is very good too. But this is the what is it? 1988 version. A darkly humorous and vaguely supernatural story of necrophilia. Grave Robbers is a gruesome black comedy about the meaning of love and lust after death. And to fill in a little bit more, it's also about this woman that ends up meeting this guy, and they get married awful quickly, but then she starts finding out things because I think it's like, his house is like a funeral home, and yeah, you heard what I said it was about, so you can fill in those blanks. This is quite the fucking movie, and I can't recommend it anymore. A lot of these I was trying to do ones that not a lot of people talk about. There's going to be some common ground here, but yeah. All right, this one hasn't been talked about in a while. The slipcase, I believe, is gone, but I thought it was a cool slipcase. The Caller. Basically has two people in the cast. It has Malcolm McDowell, sold already for me, and Madeline Smith. It's definitely a very little suspenseful. How do they say it? A labyrinthine mystery tinged with horror and science fiction elements. I would also add that it's kind of, me personally, reminded me of a Twilight Zone episode. That's what I got from it. I didn't really get the science fiction until, I'm not even going to say it, give too much away, but The Caller, definitely recommend it. And you know, like I said, if you're anything like me, you see Malcolm McDowell, I just watch it. This one still has the slipcover, but it is going out of print. No one talks about this. I think I've heard a couple of people, I shouldn't say no one, but I'm just so surprised. Nico Mastorakis movie, In the Cold of Night. I've talked about this before a while ago. Highly recommend it. It's still got the slipcover, but like I said, it is going out of print. An ultra stylized De Palma-esque neo-noir erotic thriller from cult director Nico Mastorakis. If you're not sure about him, he did the infamous Island of Death, as well as many other ones. They also list Blind Date on here, but there are better ones. He also did and don't get me wrong, I'm not discarding Blind Date. It's good. It's not just one of my favorites. I would recommend In the Cold of the Night is my favorite movie of his, but other than Island of Death, I think Arrow put out The Wind, as well as Zero Boys. Those are a couple others. Nightmare at Noon. I'm just looking here in case I forget anything. Grandma's House. Vinegar Syndrome put out Grandma's House. I like that movie, but if I had to pick any Nico Mastorakis movie to recommend, it would be this, and it would be for this sale. Definitely check this out. If you would like. Okay. Next is the double feature that was last year, I think it came out. I don't know when this came out. When did this come out? 2022. So, yeah, last year. It was their first in hopefully more of their drive-in collection, but the first Blu-ray, where it was Horror High and Stanley. I buy all Actually, I buy all of Vinegar Syndrome releases, and now being a subscriber, you get all of them too. But anyway, I originally was intrigued by it because of Stanley. I'd heard a lot of things about it. God, I think from the director, isn't there Arrow box set? Yeah. William Griffey, I think that's how you say it. A Florida director with a lot of animal type movies, but Stanley, it was good. And I will warn people, I believe there was animal cruelty with the snakes. But Horror High is really really good. It's like a teenage Jekyll and Hyde type thing. But I highly enjoyed Horror High, and even if you're not into the whole animal cruelty thing, it's got Horror High. So I really recommend it, and it's got some 70s exploitation. Then we got the infamous Psychos in Love, the song that gets stuck in your head. I always love this art. Rest in peace, Carmine, who passed away in the past couple of years. A bloody and hilarious, Psychos in Love is an absurd, homegrown horror comedy which alternates between gratuitous killing scenes and self-aware parody of romantic comedies. That's a good way to describe it, but there's nothing quite else like this. Don't take it seriously, but it's so much fun. It's I love it, and the director Gorman McCard, they also did Disconnected, which I also highly recommend, but I didn't put in here. Vinegar Syndrome also put that out, but it's Psychos in Love, and it's regional because or a homegrown horror. Well, I didn't say regional, but it was in Connecticut, so that was, I think, partially maybe why they got it, or maybe it was just coincidence. I don't know. Psychos in Love. You definitely can't get this slip anymore, but you can get this dirt cheap. So, all right. This will be on sale for the first time. Evil Laugh. It's not for everybody. I know the whole thing with the director, I guess, had been accused of things or something. I didn't get into it. I try to separate those things myself. But Evil Laugh, a low-budget, high-energy slasher murder mystery which cheerfully embraces its low budget and trashy sensibilities. I had a lot of fun with it. The guy who directed it also, if to put it in perspective, who it is, at least, not about any of that. He was Joey on Friday the 13th Part 5. The reason for the movie, basically. Why? I won't give anything away there if you haven't seen it, but you can forget it, Vic. Just forget it. But yeah, he did a movie. I don't know. I guess he did other. I don't know if he did other movies, but I'm only familiar with this. But Evil Laugh, I had a blast. There is a scene in it that I had to show with a microwave killing scene that a lot of people are like, that's not even possible or whatever. Well, it's in a movie. I can separate that reality and movies, thankfully, myself. But maybe you push the button in. I don't know. All right, we got the infamous Pledge Night, of course. I'm always repping Pledge Night. You only can get it like this, of course, with no slip. But a truly one-of-a-kind blending of post-Animal House TNA sex comedy and gore-filled supernatural slasher. It's equally both those things. I'll show you the back. It's pretty cool. In the back, like the backstory of it, I guess, Joey Belladonna is the killer. Well, he's not the killer then, but it says it stars him, but I don't think. No, maybe it does. Maybe he's in it more than I'm thinking. But this is something else. This is a blast. This is definitely a blast. Some people may say throw it on at a party. That works, I guess, for some. I'm not that type of guy myself. I watch most movies by myself. I share some with some people, but I'm a little different. Anyway, I'm not going to get off on that tangent. I got a few more recommendations for you. This one's just a silly one that a lot of people didn't like. Either you're going to like it or you're not. Pandemonium. It's a spoof. Judge Reinhold's in it. There's a stupid line in it that they're like, are you scared? And the woman's like, baloney. You're afraid of baloney? Fucking stupid, but gets me every time. This movie's really dumb. Another spoof they put out, Wacko, with Andrew Dice Clay. I recommend that too. got a few VSAs that are still in print. The Grave, an idiosyncratic and highly entertaining entry in the post-Tarantino indie crime cinema of the mid-90s. So, definitely got some horror elements in there. It's got a small part of Giovanni Ribisi. I always was hoping that he had a bigger part. Anthony Michael Hall has a super small part. For me, it kind of reminds me like it could have been a Tales from the Crypt episode, but I've heard people say no, they don't see that, but that's how I saw it. I don't know, but it's a good movie regardless. It's definitely one of the better VSAs. I like more than most seem to, but The Grave is definitely in the top of them for me. And we got Whatever It Takes, just a low budget action comedy from the 90s, because we got Fred Williamson, Don the Dragon Wilson, and Andrew Dice Clay. I personally never like this art. It's very just, like, I don't know. I do like this art though. But it's another VSA that's still in print. Red Surf, another one that I don't like any of the art on the cardboard thing, but I do like this. I've heard mixed things from some people, but it's got George Clooney in it. It's got Doug Savant and Dee Dee Pfeiffer, Michelle Pfeiffer's sister, Gene Simmons, and so on. Overflowing with drugs, booze, and guns. Red Surf is a violent look at the 1980s surfing culture in California. I love this movie. Like I said with The Grave, this is up there. I believe it's probably in my video that I did of my top 10 favorite VSAs. So, this is one that also seemed to be mixed for people, but I enjoyed it. It's kind of fucked up if I remember right, but Wolfpack, still in print. This is my favorite thing about it, actually, is the thing on the back that says, Wolfpack is a tense 80s update of juvenile delinquent film. Vinegar Syndrome Archive presents the world disc premiere of Wolfpack, a movie which helped inspire the creation of VSA. If that's not a selling point, I don't know what is. Wolfpack. I never got this originally. I've always liked this movie, but I got it. It's the hearse. I got the club thing here. I did realize that I think this is going out of print. Yeah, it is going out of print. Chilling blend of supernatural horror and romantic mystery. I remember seeing this in the video store days, and then I had it on one of those like multi-movie packs that they used to have like 50 fucking movies in a thing, and you get it for like $5. But there's some gems in there. There is. This was one of them for me. You don't get the slip anymore. The club one is gone, but you can still get this. But like I said, it is going out of print. And then we got Hard Rock Zombies. Kind of explains it all. Basically about this heavy metal band that is invited to appear in a conversive small town. What they don't know is that the hosts, in fact, are a family of horrific and murderous mutants. And you can kind of put together what happens after. Turn into zombies, get their revenge, all that good stuff. It is a double feature with Slaughterhouse Rock. I got this before on Blu-ray. That's how I initially... No, I saw this on VHS. I like it. It's good. I do want to watch it again. I actually haven't watched this, but I really enjoyed that. Alright, one that people have talked about. Gotta cover that. Don't Open Till Christmas. This will be on sale for the first time. That's why I wanted to mention it. For me, it's one of their bigger titles, but maybe for some, they've never heard of it. It's, you know, everybody has had their own journey, so to speak, but... Don't Open Till Christmas is one of my favorite slashers. It's definitely in rotation around Christmas time. It's just a sleazy, like, British slasher. It's about a killer who kills people dressed up like Santa Claus. But I absolutely love this movie, and I'm so glad that it got updated on Blu-ray. And if you're curious, I don't usually do these things, but for certain ones, I do like to. But yeah, don't open till Christmas. This one is definitely just this. Doesn't have the slip anymore. This is another older release. Um, it's basically an ultra low, maybe no budget sci-fi movie, which doesn't sound like a good combo, but it's actually pretty fun in my opinion. A Battle for the Lost Planet, and it also has the sequel Mutant War. The selling point for me when it came out was, and I would have got it anyway. As I said, I get all their stuff, but was Matt Mittler stars in them. He starred. He was the star of. He was the son in The Mutilator, so that was a huge selling point for me. Don't say I'm not comparing this to Mutilator. This is just an ultra low budget, fun, no budget sci-fi movie. But also, I believe this will be on sale for the first time. I can't remember exactly when this came out. Yeah, it was last year. Buried Alive. There's many movies called this. This is the one that has Robert Vaughn, Donald Pleasance, Karen Witter, John Carradine, Nia Long in a very early performance, in a very early role, and Ginger Allen, who was previously an adult film star. But I personally like this one. It's another one of the movies that is Edgar Allan Poe's classic tale, The Black Cat, a play on that. But it's definitely different. The same year, the USA TV movie Buried Alive came out, which is also great. But yeah, this is not that one. I'm glad that they released this, because this was kind of hard to get before they released it, at least in my experience. This is another one that doesn't have a slip, but Deadline, another Video Store Days movie, one of the true hidden gems of Canadian horror cinema. Deadline is an unflinchingly grim, twisted, and cynically comedic study of the man's slow descent into madness. It definitely has its fucked up moments, but I do recommend it. Deadline. We are almost done. Of course, I gotta mention these. I got both of them. They had two different slipcovers. I know some are like, well, why'd you put one and one, not the other? Well, I only had one, but again, I'm not big into those things. But anyway, one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. Still my favorite Vinegar Syndrome release. It's Fade to Black. I mean, the tagline kind of describes a lot of it. Eric Binford lives for the movies. Sometimes he kills for them, too. But these slipcovers are really cool. Unfortunately, like I said, there is no more. But I can't recommend this movie enough. I've been recommending it to people my whole life, not just the Vinegar Syndrome one. Tons of great new special features. But it's basically just about talk about another descent into madness, but for different reasons, of a guy that's obsessed with film and then starts killing people in the ways that people were killed in the film, or dressed up like them. And he's obsessed with Marilyn Monroe, and there's a woman that looks an awful lot like her. But I love Fade to Black so much. This is my top recommendation out of all of these. If you haven't checked it out or haven't bought it, definitely check it out. Like I said, no slip, but this is one that a lot of people skip over or didn't like, and it got a catalog slip a little bit ago. It's number 95, so it's a while ago. Frightmare. I wasn't huge on it when I first saw it, but stylistically combining 80s slasher tropes with an insightful and self-reflective look at the meaning of horror movies and death itself. That really is the movie, and it's got a super early role, if not his first role, I honestly can't remember, of Jeffrey Combs, but I thought this was pretty great. Like I said, the first time I watched it, it was fine, but I really, really like it now. Got Satan's Blood. That's another good one. No slip anymore. A fiendishly perverse blend of sleazy sex, gory violence, and yeah, and also you mix in Satanism, and this is a high recommend. Satan's Blood. Alright, 5 more. Sorry. When I get going, I just love Vinegar Syndrome. Take this for what it is. Skip around. It's fine. You do you. Devil Story. I know this was not for everybody. I've heard about this infamous movie for a long time. Didn't see it until Vinegar Syndrome put it out. I have an 8-minute silly review on it on my channel. Check that out. My youngest son gets a kick out of it because I say things like, "Do you want an absolute pile of shit? You got it." But in the but in all the right ways, in the fun ways, and like, but I mean, man, there's a mummy for no reason. There's a ship that comes out of nowhere at one point. There's a guy in the movie that's shooting a horse that's supposed to be like the devil or evil or something for about 50 minutes in the movie. Never hits it. This is the killer guy that at one point keeps bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. That's another thing I do in there. One little tidbit though, he's wearing a Nazi jacket, and a lot of people speculated, like, was he a Nazi? No, turns out the filmmakers just said that it was just one of those things, like it was somebody he killed and he put it on. But Devil Story, not going to be for everybody. It is trash-tastic, but yeah. Something that is not trash-tastic, so to speak. It's a bit of a 70s exploitation, but I'm really surprised. This still has a slip. No one talks about it. Terminal Island. The whole basis of it is people that are on death row end up getting dumped onto this island, so to speak, and they have to fend for themselves, and they're all criminals, so you know that's not going to end well. But Terminal Island, and it's on 4K. I'm just surprised that this has not been a big seller. Maybe it just gets buried with other releases. I don't know. This is an older one that I've always really liked. It is an anthology. I know anthology isn't for everybody. I personally love anthologies, but this is a different one. House of the Dead. It's also another title, Alien Zone, which you might see on like one of like the free streaming services or something. It's got 4 stories. The wraparound is really creepy, but I sincerely really like this, and you can still get it. I think that artwork is pretty cool personally, but yeah, House of the Dead, not to be confused with the game, because this is from 1978. All right, I believe this will be on sale for the first time. I think. You know, when I say that, I can always just look at the date. No, it won't. But that's why I put it in there. Devonsville Terror. This will be on sale during Black Friday, but I love this movie. I love Uli the Mel's movies. I love, what's her name? Susan Love, who is also in it. But this would be a good thing to get because they're putting out Boogeyman. And he's the same director. I haven't seen Boogeyman in a while, but Devonsville Terror I might like more. I don't know. They're different movies. They're different beasts, but I really like this movie. Basically, real quick, it's about it starts with like a witch trial, and then you fast forward to modern day, which is like what, 1983, and these women move to the same town, and things start happening like they used to, and they think they're witches, but it's something else. I definitely enjoyed it. And my last recommendation is actually not a recommendation. I'm done with the recommendations. I got mixed in. This is the last thing for what I've been watching. I watched Curse of the Blue Lights. Another like regional horror type movie, a lo-fi monster film oozing with regional charm. Curse of the Blue Lights is a cheerfully entertaining and highly original take on the traditional creature feature. I thought the effects are kind of cool with that. Like, that looks pretty good. But it's about these college kids who have always heard this thing about the blue lights, and if they can see them and if they follow them. And basically what happens is they end up meeting these, like, monsters and stuff, and like I said, the effects are pretty decent, honestly, I think. And they get stopped by a cop because this guy's always speeding, and the cop always has it out for him, and of course he doesn't believe him and so on, but it's pretty good. I mean, the scenes with the monsters, kind of silly, but still good nonetheless. I know a lot of people were familiar with this movie, and I wasn't, but Curse of the Blue Lights. It is a recommendation too, but it won't be on sale or anything. But it's part of what I've been watching. End with it. Start with it. All right. Well, I figured with my giant pile that it would end up being this long, but thank you for anybody that's been sticking around. Everybody, I hope you have a great time at the Halfway to Black Friday sale. I know I will. Get some good stuff. I hope I had plenty of recommendations. Like I said, skip through my video, go watch the whole thing. Do you. Yeah, so like I said, check out my other videos. I have tons of Vinegar Syndrome stuff. I have a folder on my channel that's just Vinegar Syndrome stuff. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry it was a little long. You'll have that when a recommendation video and all that. But yeah, like and subscribe and all that good stuff. This has been the Horror of It All Movie Podcast. I'm Eric. Until next time.